Peace and blessings. Welcome back. This is part 4 of Tarot and Oracle decks from my collection that I feel like would be good for readings around the supernatural, mysterious happenings, paranormal activity. So let's get into it. I finally was able to go through the bins on my shelf as well as the rest of my decks to round out this series. So let's get started. This was a deck that I found on Amazon, Evil Eye Oracle cards. And I like this because it picks up on more shadowy energy. It has like a darker themed deck. And that's something that I was looking for. So I think this is a really great option to have. So this one says Witch, Fire, Spark. I think they're in order because I haven't worked with this one yet. This is Arcane Nexus. We've got Enchanted Threshold. So I think this would just bring a little more dimension into these types of readings. We've got Hexbreaker's Resolve. So yeah, I think this would be a really good one to use as well because I do have a lot of more lighter like Oracle decks. So I feel like this would be a good one to tap into more of the heavier energies. So this is, if I can get it out, it's the Way Home Tarot. And this deck was one that I really fell in love with and worked with on a daily basis, though I have not used it much recently. It's made by Bacara Winter. There's the backs of the decks. I like this because it really stimulates my intuition. Also, she is here in North Carolina, so there's a lot of elements of the deck that I feel are very personal to me and just makes it easy to really connect with and understand. So I really appreciate the artwork in this deck. It is, I feel like, a good mixture of kind of lighter energies along with some of the shadow energies also. So that's why I chose this deck, because it really stimulates my intuition and I think would be pretty good for different types of readings too. Okay, next we have, gotta have the obligatory deck and a Crown Royal bag. If you don't have a deck stored in one of these bags, I don't know what to tell you. But this came from Etsy. This is the High Vibes Tarot. It is a chunky deck, which is how I like them. This just has a variety of different cards. This one here is Focus. I can't think of the creator of this deck, but there's, I want to say 3 or 4 different editions of the High Vibes. This one's Abuse. Got Long Awaited Return, Shaman, Training Wheels. So I feel like this has a lot of just different types of cards to pick up on other energies. 'Twas All a Dream. Got Inspired and Trap. So I feel like this would be a really good Oracle deck to work with just because it is a variety of cards and I think it could bring in a lot of helpful information to any of the types of readings that I may be doing. So I love this deck. I really enjoy big decks, especially too because once you start to see the same cards come out or repeating cards, then you kind of know like, okay, there's clearly something that I need to know. This deck is one that I made. It is not artistically sophisticated, even though that was like my intention, but I had a lot of fun making it. So it's just like an Ancestor Oracle deck. Some of the cards just have words on them. But I love this just because, where's my favorite card? Oh, I can't find it right now. There's like Red Light. And then I have this letter, symbolized like communication. But I like this because I made it and I know like what each of the cards mean. Got like this bones card. And I enjoy working with it because for me the messages are very clear. And it also has some people cards and time cards that I created. So these are like the people cards to like describe people. And then these are like time-based cards to get clear on time frames. So this is one that I would definitely be using. Next up is, uh-oh, I dropped a crystal. Yep, I did. My selenite. So this deck is, I don't remember, I want to say the Symbolic Tarot. I want to say I got this one on, I don't know if it was Kickstarter or Etsy, but I really like this deck. There's the backs of the cards. And I chose this one because it gives clear, like yes or no, and different symbols that I think would be helpful for like clarifying any questions that may come up in a reading. The artwork is very simple, but I think that it provides a lot of information. You can see like along the sides of the cards, it gives a flower, the chakra, whether it's yes, no, maybe, planet, element, even a rune, a crystal, and the zodiac sign that it's associated with. So I think this would be a really great deck to use if I'm like trying to get really clear on, is this a yes or no? Or even like pulling like what crystals might be helpful in clearing a space. Oh, I didn't even think about that because I've got some crystal decks that I could lean on for that as well. But I love this because it feels like kind of like an all-purpose deck that has a lot of helpful information that would benefit a number of types of readings. So that is that. And I'm trying to see, did they put the name of the deck on here? I think it is called the Symbolic Tarot. And I keep a piece of selenite in there with this deck. So this is one that I go to often when I need clarifiers. But I like that it incorporates plant medicine with astrology, crystals, all of the things. I think that that's one of the reasons why I really, really like that deck. So this is a combo deck made from the Oceanic and Moon and Stars Tarot. I saw these decks on, I think, Amazon. And then when I got them, I realized they were pip decks and I wasn't too thrilled. So I combined both decks together. So these are all of the minors from both decks combined together. And then I have all of the majors from both decks combined together. And then all of the court cards from both decks combined together. When I saw the majors, like I really liked it. This is the Moon and Star deck, beautiful background. This is the Oceanic, I think it's called Oceanic deck. But I wasn't too thrilled when I realized, okay, this was just a pip deck. So how I use this is to pull like a major theme. So I have like the majors only. I'll use that to either pull an overall theme or just get clarity around something. The courts I use to clarify people or to pull and see, okay, well, who is involved? What are their characteristics? Things like that. Oh, and speaking of which, I have an archetypes deck and some people, like characteristics of people oracles that I could use for that as well. And then I just have all of the minors for reading. What I like about it is that, so when I think about the moon and the stars, that to me is more ethereal, it's more spiritual. And then when I think about, of course, like the ocean, I think about our subconscious and the depths of the ocean. So I also read in that way, like depending on what cards come up, lets me know where an energy or situation, like where it is kind of centered or focused at. So I pulled this off the shelf just because I could use it for clarifying situations and like pulling in major themes for situations. But to be honest, I don't think it's one that I would use on a regular basis, but I did think that it was worth mentioning. This is the Godspeed Divine Timing Oracle from Midnight Oracle on Etsy. So these are just timing cards. What is that? It's up to you. In May, in April, this week. So it just kind of is very clear if I need to figure out like a time frame. When is something going to happen? When did something happen? That's where this would come in. The next deck, I don't remember the creator, but this is the Celestial Tarot. I love this deck because it brings in astronomy, astrology, and I just think it's a really profound deck. That is the Six of Wands. It did have a very robust guidebook, although because I think this was a US Games deck, you only get like the little white book. But yeah, I thought this would be good to read with just because of the celestial connection, being in the cosmos, pulling in the astrological and astronomical information as well. So yeah, I thought this would be a fun one to read with also. That's the King of Swords. And there's the Ten of Cups. So that is the Celestial Tarot. Next is one, so this is one of my first decks. And it's one that I treasure, one that I'm like, oh my gosh, of course, like this should have been in my first video, but I kind of forgot about this baby. So this is Revelations Tarot by Robert Wang. And the art, I think, is phenomenal. I love that the reversals are just very powerful. I love the artwork, the details in the cards. So like the reversed image, it's different than the image on top. So I think that would just add a little more depth and dimension. And to me, this of course is more of a, not so much like a lighter, like more whimsical deck. I think this would be really good on picking up on denser happenings, denser imagery. And I like that the people, some of them are kind of cyborg-like and just otherworldly in itself. So I thought this would definitely be a wonderful, wonderful deck to read with. And it's probably one that I will put to the forefront or be in like my core collection for these types of readings. I guess I'll get through all the bagged decks. I don't remember the name of this deck, but it's a really beautiful deck, and I thought this would be fun to include as well. So that's like Sands of Time, Flame of Resilience, Guardian of Time. There's Nature's Whisperers. Oh, what was the name of this deck? There's the Bouquet of Blessings. Mirrors of Self. So I just thought this would be an interesting one to read with because it calls in like nature. There's just different elements and aspects of it that I think would lend itself. That's Monolith of Endurance to these types of readings. I would love to give it a try and see how it does in these readings. I gotta remember what the name of that deck is. And some of these, like I said, they just came either in bags, so I don't fully remember. This is the I can't think of the name. It's not the Gullah. is it the Gullah Tarot? Low Country Gullah Tarot. I have to check, but I love this deck. This one I found on Etsy as well. And I chose this one because it's very chatty. And I get so much information reading with these cards. So I decided to include this one also. There's the Four of Swords. This to me feels like a very heavily spiritual deck. When I saw it, I just instantly connected with the cards and the artwork. And I don't know, it feels like a very supportive deck for these types of readings. So that is why I chose this deck. I think it's beautiful and very powerful, and it doesn't, I feel like it really embraces all aspects of life and reading, so that it would be really good at picking up on underlying energies, more shadowy things as well. The next deck is the Liminal Tarot by Inner Hue. This was one that I absolutely adored. And I chose this deck because the artwork really speaks to me. Although I'm not really a fan of the court cards, I still really appreciate this deck. It was definitely like a top favorite of mine. That's the World card. There's the Five of Pentacles. I like the play, like it's minimalistic, but also not. It kind of reminds me like of the same kind of energy or feel of the Wild Unknown, but it's also different and unique in its own way. There's the Tower. This deck has been really great for me in different readings. And so that's why I chose it, because it kind of has that abstract feel. And I just really appreciate the artwork and imagery. Next up, and honestly, I wasn't sure about these decks, but as I was going through my shelves, I was like, why didn't I consider adding these to the list? So we have the Wild Unknown. This is a really gorgeous deck. I appreciate the artwork so much. And I chose this because it really sparks my intuition and just speaks to me in a different way. So we've got the, what's that, Four of Pentacles. We have the World. There's so much movement in the cards that to me, I think this would be a really great one to read with. A lot of people, like before I got the decks, were saying like it was a very heavy deck. It was kind of negative. I don't feel that from this deck, but I guess I can see where, you know, why people would say that. But I definitely love the shadow work in the deck and just the line art, the colors. And that's why I kind of compared it with the Inner Hue deck, because it both have kind of that line art with the color infused into it. And I really like that. I just think it's pretty. And it just gets my intuition flowing. So that is why I selected the Wild Unknown. And that's by Kim Kranz. I also picked up her, I'm running out of space, hang on. Her oracles, the Wild Unknown archetypes, and I think especially the Wild Unknown alchemy deck. Both of these have been really powerful decks. I'm going to start with the alchemy just because it's easier for me to open. So this is Mercury. This is Unus Mundus, Synchronicity. Like, I feel like each of these cards are portals. And I think it would just really, there's a Great Serpent, the Ouroboros. I just think these would be really great at paranormal readings. They are very different. They're very unique. And I think it has a good, variety, like for it to be an alchemical deck. I think it makes sense that it would have like different elements. There's ether or the void, different elements that one can build upon the despicable face in a reading. So that is why I pulled this deck. I have read with this, just not frequently. So it's one that I would probably really want to study to get to know more, but I still think it would be really great at these types of readings just because it is very unique. Let's see if I can get the cards back in the box without, there we go, perfect. So that was the Wild Unknown Alchemy, and next we'll take a peek at, and all of them have very robust guidebooks that provide a lot of information as well. So then there was the archetypes. Okay, this one okay. It's still in its sleeve, so that's why I was like, let me do the other one first. Oh wow, yeah, it's been a while since I've read with this because I forgot that this was a circular deck. So this is the Wild Unknown Archetypes. And again, I feel like the artwork really lends itself to these abstract readings that I want to do. I think these would bring in a lot of helpful information, but I also do feel like this is a deck that I would need to really work with to like understand and have a better grasp of it. There's like the Lovers. I haven't used this one all that often, but it is one that I appreciate. The Sustainer. So yeah, I think this would be a great one. There's the Vessel, the Flame, to pick up on those subtle energies and just kind of understand like what's going on surrounding curiosities and mysteries. So that is the Wild Unknown Archetypes, and hopefully in the next coming few weeks I should have a little more time on my hands to dedicate to doing more in-depth work with my decks and starting to do tarot studies and things like that again. So we're down to 1, 2, 3. We got 8 decks. I'm going to start with the In-Between Tarot. These are a little dusty. The In-Between Tarot is created by Janine Worthington, and I absolutely love, love, love this deck. It is extremely well thought out, which is what led me to purchase the other 2 decks that I'm going to share shortly. But I like it because it kind of takes you in between the cards. So like, right, this is the Empress. So it's what's happening between the Empress and the Emperor. So it's like they're coming into union. And then there's also within the minors, like different time periods or social events or situations that she addressed in her deck. This is a really good, like a really great deck for transitions, or even just exploring like the in-between, the liminal, and what's happening, because it gives you a different perspective as like the energies of each card merging. So there's Emperor and Hierophant. You can see the chessboard or checkerboard down at the base there. I guess these were kind of, oh, because I was doing that's okay. So we've got the 5 of Coins here. So I got this deck, and then I saw that is the 7 of Wands. And there's the back of the card. Like, I just thought this was such a beautiful concept. There's the Fool. You can see the Fool is taking flight. The guidebook is also phenomenal. This deck is really awesome, and I think it has so much potential to help me with these types of readings and just exploring, yeah, just different things. So when I think about the in-between, like, and what it would be good for is like transitions in our lives, maybe even like people or places that have transitioned, and just exploring what's happening in between realms, in between people, in between events. So like, I like to think about it like that. And I just really love the way that she blended the tarot together in a very unique and thoughtful way. So, okay, I was looking for the box. So the other decks that I got after getting the In-Between Tarot, because I was like, oh my gosh, if the In-Between Tarot is this amazing, then these decks gotta be great. These are the Before and After Tarot by Corinne Kenner. I really love the concept, and I honestly feel that more could have been done with these, especially the way the In-Between Tarot really leaned into that in-between space. And so these I purchased because I was in a collecting phase, and yeah, so there's the back. So I'm starting with the Before Tarot. And so what I was imagining when I'm thinking about before is like what's happening before the snapshot of the Fool. So I was thinking it would be a little more substantial. And so there's the Empress, and you can see this Empress has like the children sitting on her lap. She's got the scepter in her hand. So it's a little different than just the standard card. Same thing with the Emperor. He's standing up. He's holding the ram or the sheep or whatever. There's the Ace of Cups with the fish like jumping over it. Two of Cups, they're like walking, you know, they're walking towards each other, or the guy is walking. There's the Three of Cups. There's the Three of Wands. So they're like these minor, in most of the cards, just a very minor addition. Like with the Three of Wands, he's got the hawk there landing on his arm. And I don't know what I was expecting out of this deck, but I thought that it would be like a little more thought and intention put into it, versus I feel like it was just like, oh, let's just change the image a little bit and call it the Before Tarot. So it's supposed to be one moment before. And so I still want to give the cards a chance, because I think it lends great for what happened before, or what happened after, or what's happening as things are unfolding. So I do see how they could work together, but I just feel like these were not as intentionally created as the In-Between Tarot. So again, so this is the After Tarot. This is a moment after. So there's the Hierophant. He's got the book open. I'm trying to see if there's any, like there's the Strength card. So like in this one, in the Two of Cups, like they're hugging. There's the Three of Cups, and these are kind of in order. I was doing a deck study with all three of these at one point. There's the Eight of Pentacles. So, I mean, I'm still giving it a chance, but I was not thrilled because I was expecting something more or different with these. But like I said, I think they're still valuable in a sense that, you know, you can do like kind of past, present, future if you wanted to with the decks, or just read with them as they are and just get the different imagery that they provide. So not fully hating on them. I still have them in my collection though. Because I do like to work with a deck before I decide whether or not I'm fully going to let it go. But these, like I said, there's really interesting ways that I feel like I could work with these decks, and especially the after and the before. I think the in-between is amazing, absolutely phenomenal deck. I think I was just hoping for that same substance with the other two, but that's okay. So on to the next one. I chose Tarot in Wonderland, and I chose this deck because it was a whole trip, right? And a different world and another dimension. So I thought it would maybe fun to pull this deck in. You've got the Page of Pentacles. There's the Hanged Man. There's the Eight of Pentacles. So I thought this would be a fun way of looking at different types of readings. The High Priestess. The Page of Cups. I believe this is a deck by Barbara Moore, yeah. The Nine of Swords. So I thought this was kind of whimsical and fun because it's like an adventure in another universe with different characters, and I like the colors and things like that in the deck. So yeah, I figured this might be a fun one to play with also. Next up, I feel like I've done really good keeping these not too long. I'll go with this one. This is the Cirque du Tarot by Lisa Robertson. And I went with this deck just because, and there's the back of the card, just because it's different. We've got the Five of Cups here, the Strength card, the Nine of Wands. Like, I feel like there's so much magic and mystery and like this unseen world when we think about like the circus and things like that. So I just thought it would be an interesting way to look at readings. There's the Six of Cups, the World. And I like the art. It's very like dreamy, kind of whimsical. Two of Cups. So I figured this would be a nice one to read with. Got the Ten of Swords. I really love the colors. Especially like, I think sometimes for heavier readings, using decks that are a little more whimsical can kind of help balance things out. But not always. You don't have to do that. But yeah, so that is the Cirque du Tarot by Lisa Robertson. Awesome deck. I like her guidebooks because she like really makes the deck come alive. Like, she brings you into it. It's not just like, I made this deck that is based on the circus, but the guidebook doesn't share any information. So it's kind of like almost like telling the story of what's happening to the troupe as you read through the cards. So it really brings tarot into that sphere, if that makes sense. Okay, next up is the Liquid Crystal Oracle. This is about Return of the Atlantean Way for Children of Light. I chose this deck because, again, it kind of taps into that cosmic, otherworldly civilization energy. These are really great cards for healing. They're very unique. We've got crystals on these cards. It's another reason why I like them. So there's jade, Priascola, kyanite, sulfur, tanzanite. I would probably use this more so if something needed to be healed or released, to maybe see like what's stuck or what needs to shift and work with it that way. And possibly even for myself, like before sitting down to do a reading, to like pull out, okay, like what do I need to do? Like where do I need to ground or protect myself? Things like that. So I thought this would be great to pull in, and the guidebook is amazing. I do use these cards in healing sessions with clients and for myself, and they are amazing. So, and this is by Justin Mokias Asar, Liquid Crystals Oracle. This is such a beautiful deck and one that I really, really enjoy. Down to the final two. We've got Vice Versa Tarot. And again, that kind of goes into my theme with like the in-between, the before and after. I like these decks just because they give a unique perspective, and each card has two sides. So you've got kind of the front, and then you've got like what's going on behind the card. So it's kind of like the seen and unseen. It's the Emperor. And I think it just, again, provides a different perspective to these types of readings. There's a Three of Pentacles. There's a Two of Pentacles. I don't know what some of these are because they just have, well, there's the Seven of Cups. I know that one. But yeah, I like it because then like on the back, it's like he's stuck in a daze, almost like he's hypnotized and stuck there. So I thought this would be a really great deck. And sometimes when I read it, I'll read both sides of the card just to get both perspectives. But it's so many ways to work with the Vice Versa Tarot, whether you're kind of like mixing them up so that when you shuffle, some are front side up, others are back side up. And then if you want to incorporate reversals with that, that just adds a whole nother dimension to it. The guidebook is pretty decent. I like that it has like full-size pictures, and then it tells you what each side of the card means. So that's really helpful. So yeah, I think this would be a good one to work with also, just because it gives added dimension to the deck. Tarot of the New Vision. This deck is special because I got this when I made a big change in my life, and I find that it's really good at doing readings for newness, for change, for growth, for elevation. And so like the other before and after decks, it just kind of gives a different perspective. So there's the Empress, and instead of seeing her, we're seeing the children behind her with a swan. And for the Hierophant, we're seeing what's happening behind the Hierophant. So it's giving you a different perspective into the card. And I think it just adds, there's the Four of Swords. I think it just adds a little more like dimension or depth or a different perspective. There's the Nine of Pentacles to like what we already know about the cards. And so one reason why I like these two is that you can kind of just layer on what you know with what you're seeing and sensing. And again, it just adds a little more depth and dimension. So let's see, there's the Knight of Cups. Some of these, like I said, are just very subtle changes. Some others are a little more drastic. Like there's the Lover's cards. We're seeing we're behind them, like looking. So we're seeing what's behind them in the back of the angel. And then like the Chariot, you've got people chained to the Chariot. So let's see, one more. The Three of Swords, and this one you have people in the background that look like they are having to leave their homes or evacuate. So that's it. Those are all of the decks in my collection that I pulled out to explore as I delve into these readings. Now I've just got to decide which ones will kind of be my core decks. Even though I'll probably switch it up, I would like to have core decks just so I can really get to understand the energy of the deck as I'm working with them in this way. So I hope that you've enjoyed this series. This was a lot of fun. I got to touch decks that I have not touched in a while. I also got to see some where I'm like, I could probably let this go. I got to see others that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to work with this deck. And it just helped me, you know, do something a little different and reconnect with my collection. And I'm really excited and grateful that I took the time to do this before just diving in, because now it gives me a ton of like tools to work with as I start exploring these amazing, mysterious, and supernatural topics with you here. So that is it, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. Please in the comments, let me know what decks you think would be great. And like, what are your thoughts? And I'll look forward to chatting with you again soon. Peace.